Our first reading today on this special third Sunday of Advent is Shout for Joy. And the first word of the second reading is rejoice. And yet, you well know that isn't what most of our country is feeling today. Maybe not just this tragic week, but many weeks of our lives. I think it's fair to say we don't live in a very healthy culture. Probably of all the civilized countries, we allow arms and trust in arms just about more than anybody. So we bear the fruit of that occasionally, and it will probably continue, there will be mass murders and killings and tragedies as we've again seen this week. Often I think that the very point of faith must be, how do you keep your heart open in hell? How do you keep trusting? How do you keep any kind of happy, rejoicing face when so much of life is frankly disappointing, tragic, absurd, evil, wrong? The heart just keeps being assaulted. And what happens as you get older is it closes down. I think that's true for a high percentage of people. A few years ago, I gave a retreat to the Army chaplains from the whole Army Corps in Florida. And we were examining this phenomenon of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And as I studied the real symptoms of this, I really wonder if much of humanity in all of history has not had post-traumatic stress disorder. When you read history and see, it has largely been a history of people killing people. War upon war upon war. God must just cry that He created us for love, for union, for forgiveness and compassion, and yet that has not been our storyline. That has not been our history. And you have to find some way to not become a cynical person, a negative person, a person who keeps walking around and opening your eyes in the outside world, but inside you close down. You stop expecting tomorrow to be better than today. I think that's much of humanity. And without a very real experience of love, God, grace, at a deep inner level, you can't fake it. You can't fake it. It won't work. You can't just come to church services and think like everybody else does. Something has to happen that really changes our heart, or we become as cynical and as negative as the poor young man who did this to 27 human beings. And he wasn't a poor boy. He had it all, physically speaking. And yet, he didn't have it at all, spiritually speaking. Well, we have to say there, and it's been said in all of history, there certainly is the problem of evil. Why does evil exist? Why does God allow evil? Why doesn't God just step in and say, stop it? Now it's my turn. You've had your turn, and now I'm taking mine. I guess that's what heaven means. When God can finally say, now it's my turn. And I'm going to turn all of your crucifixions into an eternal resurrection. That's called Christian hope. And that's why we begin with shout for joy, which doesn't make a bit of sense today. Rejoice, which doesn't sound reasonable at all. But we also have to admit, if we're consistent and honest, that along with the problem of evil, there is the equal problem of good. Why are there so many good people? A lot of you are in this room. And you've seen them on TV, I hope. Perhaps you saw that young father on CNN who gave the account of the loss of his little 6-year-old beautiful daughter. If you haven't, try to hear it. It makes me cry. He's so filled with faith, respect. He can't fake it at that point. And I thought to myself, well, any sermon I give will not come close to the sermon that father is giving on CNN. That he kept his dignity, he kept his positive attitude, he kept his love for life, himself, and the world, even after tragically losing his little adorable girl. You can't fake it. You see, brothers and sisters, you got to do your homework ahead of time. Because you can't do it in the last minute when the tragedy comes. Your heart has to be prepared ahead of time. And that's why you came here today, I'm sure. So that you can learn by faith and prayer and grace and mercy and love and forgiveness how to keep your heart open in hell when hell happens.